All right, so today, guys, we're gonna review a 5.0 Mustang with a big plot twist. This one has a supercharger bolted onto it. So the 5.0 Mustangs have been on the market for quite a while now. So let's see if this is still a good daily or is it just pure chaos. So essentially, it looks almost stock, completely stock, until you pop the hood, and then you'll see that 5-liter Coyote with a nice little supercharger on it. You know, classical Mustang, instant torque, classical supercharger whine. Definitely has a lot more power than the factory 480 horsepower. Just a beautiful vehicle. We'll just start with a little comment on, just a little walk around. Tried and true design, classical coupe appearance, nice aggressive rear fascia, nice diffuser, stock with the wing. This is a performance pack. You can tell by the wheels and the upgraded Brembo brakes. Definitely a very handsome looking car. You either love Mustangs or you don't, but besides being infamous for known as the crowd killer, this is definitely just a great affordable performance car, kind of an American classic. Very aggressively designed. You know, the newer ones definitely kind of improved on the design cues, has a sleek fastback look. Really outstanding, actually. I really like the design choice on the wheels, especially. 255 40 19s in the front. Nice massive Brembo brakes. Design-wise, I'm partial to them. I do love my JDM cars, but I can definitely appreciate a classic American muscle car. It's a really great looking vehicle. You can't fault it. It's got nice Pilot Sport 4S's on it. Really just a beautiful vehicle. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the interior, and we'll go for a quick drive and see how we feel about this being, is this gonna get a great daily score, or are we gonna relegate it to being a weekend car? Right as soon as you open the door, you're greeted with this beautiful leather touched interior. The seats are very comfortable. Definitely not as heavily bolstered as some other performance cars, like the Civic Type R specifically. Civic Type R being my daily. But these seats do the job. You know, you can slightly adjust, the lumbar obviously, but not too much as far as a bolster adjustment. Great little steering wheel. It's a comfortable, handsome cockpit. It gets the job done. Some of the interior plastic choices are obviously a little bit on the inferior side. A lot of hard plastics. This I thought was plastic initially, but this is possibly some kind of metal alloy. But overall, this being a 60,000 mile example, it wore in really nicely. You can see the wear and tear in the seat. There's a little bit of bolster wear. I mean, you can touch this up with some paint, some leather paint. Not a big deal at all. Really a great car. I guess the owner of this one did put a Hurst shifter on it. And this have nice rear seats. I don't know how usable they are, but they're there if you want to throw a bag there in a pinch. I'll just throw my camera equipment back here just for fun. It gets the job done. The interior is starting to get a little dated, I'll be honest. A lot of hard plastics, but you're not buying this car for the interior, I'll be honest. And let's take a look under the hood here. Just a great looking vehicle. This being 60,000 mile variant, the paint is actually in outstanding shape. This is a very beautiful car. We have our ROUSH Ford Performance Supercharger here. It almost looks like a factory, if they didn't have this little plaque here, and you told me it's a factory, actually the airbox does give it away a little bit. But, essentially, if you told me this was a factory supercharger, I would believe you, and a lot of other people would as well. But yes, great looking vehicle. I do love the fact that, on these Mustangs and performance cars, you still have your dipstick. You can check your oil level. Unlike the new BMW M2, apparently there's no, at least on a 2026 model year, there's no dipstick on the M2. So, I mean, how are you going to check your oil? I guess run the ECU, start the car up. It's honestly, that was a bad design choice. BMW, if you're listening, please bring back the dipstick. I don't know if you guys. Versus this would, you know, take the cake every time. You know, the Mustang's been out for so long. The aftermarket parts are so prevalent. It has such a strong aftermarket for this car. You can really, let's do a little pull here. Oh geez, this is very powerful. This is extremely powerful. I have to kind of stop and think. This power is almost telepathic. If you put your foot into it, it's really captivating. You know, this car is for sale. I'll put the link in the description and you can check it out. And I'll also talk a little bit about it at the end of the video. But it drives flawlessly. Very smooth shifting transmission. We'll do a little, take this corner a little faster and do a little flooring. This car does fight the traction with these Pilot Sport 4S's. With traction being fully on, it really fights it. It really does fight it. But as you can see, it put the power down well. I did feel the power get cut, and we didn't really touch redline. But you know, if you looked at a dyno graph, I would say, you know, we reached at least 70 or maybe 80% of this power, of the torque and the performance figures. So, you know, my initial plan was to take this car on some back roads and really show you the handling aspects, but let's be honest, nobody buys a Mustang for the handling. Everybody buys it for this beautiful, glorious V8. The 0 to 60 times, you know, this car lives at the 60 to 120 kind of range. You know, this is a top end, high speed, high power, high torque. I mean, we'll still take it on some back roads just to see how we can do. But I'll be honest, I am a little scared with this car, with it having so much power. There's effortless speed in this car, just very effortless. I don't know, this car is just something out of this world. I don't know any other cars you can buy that have close to 500 horsepower stock. And then, you know, can throw some bolt-ons on it, put a supercharger on it. I believe when you do full bolt-ons in these vehicles, like intake, headers, exhaust, you do start touching, you know, 500 wheel with a tune. So, really great car. You know, it almost makes me want to become a muscle guy. But, you know, my heart does still is JDM, but I can really appreciate this vehicle. It does get a lot of attention, especially with this loud exhaust. You can see the car next to me, they're waving, and the car behind me is taking some pictures as well. I know it's just a Mustang, but you know, this one being a really handsome one with a loud exhaust, it really gets the heads turning. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit more about this car. So the Supercharger sound is just aggressively super powerful. It doesn't just make power, I think it makes the car sound like it's a permanent mid-argument with itself. It is a little deafening, but you know, you roll the windows up and it's fine. You know, you can live with it. I mean, every time you get on it, the blower, it just does a little scream. And it's very captivating. This car doesn't just accelerate, it just decides the horizon is too far away, and then it just fixes the problem for you. Sure, a Tesla can do it, but you know, a Tesla is essentially just an appliance. It's not fun. This power hits so hard, your passengers develop trust issues. Basically, the rear tires on this is just an expensive smoke machine. I guess they do have a side job of sometimes gripping, But the traction control does, you know, have it planted, keep it planted pretty nicely. So this is a little twisty road. Obviously, we're not going to push it too hard. We're just reviewing it for a customer out of state who's interested, and just giving you an honest review here. Really nice here, really nice. Car's power is just out of this world, honestly. But it does handle the corners nicely. I can see the appeal in these 5.0s. You're basically getting a car that provides you performance of cars, you know, twice, 3 times its price range. Sure, there's some sacrifices, interior, you know, cabin quality. You know, it is so prevalent. I mean, you see a Mustang on every corner, so there's no exclusivity factor. But it is a driver's car. It is fun to drive, and it does nail the power delivery really nicely. A great drivetrain, 5 liters, 10-speed automatic. You know, the 6 speeds, the manuals in this car, you know, unless you're getting the Dark Horse or, you know, the higher trim Mustangs that, you know, of the past, like GT350s, that have that very stout 6-speed, the base Mustang with this with the regular MT82, you know, there have been a lot of complaints about it in the past from Mustang owners. But the 10-speed, you know, it had some issues in the initial models, but for the most part, all the kinks have been kind of ironed out. Let's do a little brake test here. Really nice and grippy brakes. A great bang for your buck car. You know, the performance is here. As far as it being a daily or not, you know, this is going to be up to you. I feel like in a stock form, it's a great daily. I mean, with this Supercharger, it's still a great daily. It's just it is a little loud for my liking. I'm sure you can solve it with getting a different exhaust system, something a little bit quieter. But no, I'm thoroughly enjoying this car. I think its next owner is gonna really love it. He's gonna really love this car. I'll be honest, the handling, this car does feel a little floaty compared to, you know, the Civic Type R and some of the, you know, its other rivals. For example, the Camaro Alpha platform does handle a little better. It is a little bit lighter, but as you know, the Camaro is discontinued, so, you know, we can't really compare it. I guess we can, since it's used versus used, but I'm really excited to see what Camaro does when they do come back. But yes, let's lower the windows a little bit more. I mean, this car is, the power delivery is just great. It's not your typical turbo powertrain, you know, so you do have to rev it out to get the power, but that's what I think what makes it fun. You know, you can essentially lug it around. Well, take a little break here with the Amazon delivery van. All right, now we've been driving it for, you know, over 3-4 hours now. So let's do a little recap here. The power is a little bit too much for a daily. so this will not get a daily power rating score. But for a weekend cruiser, you know, take it to the car shows, you know, take it to some crowd gatherings, you know, I think that's a perfect car for that, you know. I think it'll turn a lot of heads with this exhaust. You'll really enjoy driving it. You will really do enjoy driving it. Let's power out this corner. You know, the beauty about this supercharged one is you don't even need to rev it out that much to get the power. You know, the best car I can compare it to power-wise was a G80 M3 Comp that I drove not too long ago. Essentially, the G80 has obviously that, you know, low-end torque and more instantaneous power delivery. You honestly can't really compare it to a G80, but it does come close to performance. Performance-wise, it does come close to the G80. I'm really enjoying this right now. So this specific variant, with being at over 600 horsepower, could you make it your daily driver? Possibly, you know, if your commute was, you know, all highways or a couple straight roads. But I think it is a little bit too much power, and efficiency-wise, probably not the best daily. As a second car, I think it's great. I mean, you could daily it, but, you know, if you're getting 15 to 16 mpgs, you know, flat out, I don't think how efficient, how nice it'll be to your wallet and your gas bills. But the car is definitely fun to drive, I'll give it that. I feel like this would be a perfect combination if you had a nice little, you know, turbo hot hatch, like a Civic Si, Civic Type R, you know, a VW GTI, something along those lines. So if that was your daily, and then you had this as your one of your weekend cars with a nice supercharger, or even stock with a 5.0, this would be pretty fun. I know a lot of people do daily them, and it's their single car, and you know, you can definitely do it. The problem is it's a little bit too powerful. You know, myself, you know, I probably would not be able to control myself too much, and I'd be kind of flooring it all over the place, and, you know, approaching crowds at, you know, high speeds. This car just, you know, it's just a magnet, you know. Oh man, this does sound beautiful. It does sound beautiful, I'll be honest. Look at these downshift pops. Really a great car, guys. All right, guys, now let's take this car to its natural environment, the interstate. This is where the car shines. Beautiful yellow Camaro over there. Fairly aggressive Jeep driver there, but we're just here to give our future owner a nice review and kind of show how the car does. Classic yellow Camaro, Bumblebee Transformer sticker. I like it, I guess. But yes, definitely a handsome vehicle here. I'll be honest, the steering wheel, I'm not a huge fan of the steering wheel. I'm sure the other variants of this car may have an upgraded wheel, like the Dark Horse, but just something about all this clutter here. You know, these buttons, I feel like they could go somewhere else. I really like the simplicity of the Honda Civic Type R wheel. Just has a couple buttons here for the music and cruise control. This is just a little bit too busy for my liking, but it does the job. The 9-3 grip is really nice and firm. It's comfortable enough. The paddle shifters are plastic, and they are steering wheel mounted, which is a great thing. But I don't know. I feel like they could have done a little bit better of a job with the steering wheel. A little better of a job, but otherwise, for the money that you're paying for this car, you really can't harp and fault on it too much. Really great car for the money. Really, what else are you going to get out there that has over 400 horsepower with a nice 10-speed auto, that rips a 0-60 under 4.5 seconds, or around that range? Really not much out there. There are better performing cars that are more expensive. They're better handling cars, but I don't know. I think they just did a great job with this vehicle. I really do enjoy it. I could see myself owning one. I can tell you that for sure. And I can see why it's one of the highest volume sports cars, I guess if you can call it sports car, in the United States and kind of North America, because really it's a lot of value per dollar. And with this Supercharger, you're a supercar killer. You'll hang up there with the V10s, with the GTRs, with the 911 turbos, with the Supercharger. So let's do a little acceleration here. Really fast. This car does take your breath away with fully throttle, wide open throttle. It takes your breath away. I think the next owner is going to be plenty happy with this car. It basically has all the tasteful mods done to it. It has a nice exhaust. It has a Supercharger kit professionally installed. It's fairly low mileage for the vehicle. It's only got 63,000 miles. And for it being a 63,000 mile car, it's really held up really nice. It held up nicely. Not too many squeaks and rattles. Well, for the most part. All the touch points are pretty comfortable. This car is, I believe they're asking $43,000 for it. You can check on the website. But for this kind of horsepower, everything I said about the interior and the handling, this can be negated. This is a great bang per buck car. Really great bang per buck. Little crisp downshifts in this vehicle. Third to second. Beautiful, outstanding. This car really needs a runway to get it running. It's just not enough road space. Even with a highway, I haven't really taken this car too high up in its rev range. It is reserved for our next customer here, so we've been really nice to it, but this car can definitely shine on the longer stretches of road. Not bad at all, not bad at all. I really do love this car. I really do love it. The power is intoxicating, it's addicting. Oh, there's another 5.0 right there. Should give each other there. Nice wave. I guess I don't think she cares. But a beautiful color with some custom wheels. You know, we kept the traction control on during the entire test drive, but this car is really great as far as, you know, being able to turn it off with the press of a button. You don't have to go into some setting or menu and, you know, locate how to turn off the traction, like some of the other vehicles. Yeah, otherwise, that's a really well-designed vehicle. You know, we take these cars for granted, but to be able to buy a 5-liter Mustang, you know, in Europe, they don't have that, you know, that luxury, that privilege, you know, all these regulations there. And honestly, really anywhere in the world, everybody pays huge taxes on having high displacement engines. Only in the United States can you get a 400, 500 horsepower car for, you know, around $40 to $50. Alright guys, so that's about it for this video. Let's wrap this up. So this 5.0 is putting down about 650 horsepower. It really does show strong pull, aggressive sound. It still feels like a Mustang you can drive every day. And big thanks to Louisville Auto Group for letting me take it out and film it. If you're looking for a build 5.0 that's ready to go, this is currently for sale. So I'll leave all the details and contact in the info link down below. And appreciate you guys watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, you know, the usual stuff. But I'll definitely see you in the next video.